Okay, so this video is inspired by phone call I received from an old friend of mine. So concerning his Peugeot vehicle. I didn't even know he now has that particular Peugeot car. It's like 3-4 years I spoke with him last, or thereabout. So we had an issue with his Peugeot vehicle where they were doing the repairs. According to him, even though it didn't make sense, but then he said it took his car for them to find out probably he was having issue with the fuel injectors, and then they decided to change the fuel injectors. Then after replacing the fuel injectors, the car it became immobilized. It refused to start. I was given immobilized issue or warning. So even though I've discussed with him and tell him what to do so as to know what exactly the cause is, I gave him the likely cause, but then what he needs to do to be able to pinpoint which of them that has packed up. So, however, so I said let me do this video just to warn people to avoid having such mistake. You see, Peugeot vehicle produce which particular let's just say from 1999 till date. Any Peugeot car that is produced from 1990 till date, whether it has or doesn't have, I'll get to what I mean. Has, whether it has or doesn't have this thing I'm going to talk about, please be very careful with your electricals. I'm talking about the BSI unit. Now, you might not know whether yours you're supposed to, but let's assume you don't know. As long as it's 99 model upward, just assume that it has that BSI unit. Depending when you figure out or be able to find out whether it actually has it or not, start treating your car as if it has the BSI unit. That BSI unit is no nonsense unit. It doesn't joke. People always focus on the engine ECU, the one they call brain burst, and everybody's. The BSI unit should be your concern. You should be so scared of that unit when it comes to Peugeot cars produced from 1999 upward till date. Today is 21st of June 2023, so that's what I mean till date. So these are the things you should try to avoid. Number one, see this is the key. I'm sitting in my 407 V6 coupe. This is the key. Whenever you are doing any electrical work, I don't care what kind of work it is, but as long as your engine doesn't need to run or the ignition doesn't need to be switched on for you to do that work, remove this key from the ignition switch. Do not joke with this. Whatever I'm telling you now, remove the ignition key from the ignition switch. Even if you are not even doing any work, maybe you just wanted to check something in the engine bay, but the engine is not running. If your engine is not running, but you want to just open to check your engine or check this, remove this key from the ignition switch. I'm repeating it over and over now. You won't understand until you would I say become a victim, because sometimes if you intentionally or carelessly damage what I'm going to explain, it's no longer being a victim. You just chose to be a volunteer. You volunteer to have that issue. Remove this key from the ignition switch. Like I say, if your engine is not running and whatever you need to do on the car does not require this key or the ignition to be on, it's not a matter of switching it off. No, remove it completely. Peugeot cars are even designed to the point, because of the issues that could happen when you leave it there. Peugeot design such a way that once the engine is off and you open the door with ignition on the you open driver's door and the key is still in ignition, you start warning you. The vehicle will start warning you. So That's enough for you to know that Peugeot anticipated that if you leave it there, anything can happen. Remove it. So, reason being, it can damage a lot of things. There are cases where people will be repairing like COM2000. I'm talking about electricians now, not even vehicle users. Maybe there's an issue with the COM2000, or they want to replace it, and they'll be doing the test, leaving the just to test, mount it, maybe the one they want to fix. I don't know, for whatever reason, they still leave the ignition or the key on ignition so that they can be testing the switches to know whether it will work or not. Is enough to damage the COM2000 simply because the battery is still connected and the key is on the ignition switch. The problem is not because the battery is connected to the ignition, is still connected to the vehicle. The problem is the key is still on the ignition switch. But if I were you, it's not just the switch. If I'm changing the COM2000, or I'm going to remove it to do any repair, or I'm going to do anything on it, first thing, you remove the ignition, make sure ignition switch is not there on the ignition. Make sure ignition key is not on the ignition. Disconnect the battery. When you are done with whatever you are doing, if you want to test this thing, connect your battery, put the key, switch it on. If what you are testing is not good enough, or you've concluded what you wanted to test and it's okay for you, still remove the key, disconnect the battery, couple back everything. It's enough to damage your COM2000. And once that damages, I'm not talking about affecting your headlight switch or your wiper switch. No, it will immobilize your vehicle. Your car will not start. No matter what you do, your car will never start until you replace the COM2000. Such thing can also happen. Leave your key on the ignition switch. You open your bonnet. Maybe you want to check your engine oil or something. You now realize your battery terminal is not well connected or something. But because your intention originally was not to touch the battery terminal, but you've forgotten that the key is on the ignition switch, you just disconnect the battery, check it. Maybe you didn't like what you see there, put it back. It's enough to damage your BSI unit. And once that happens, you get that immobilizer warning, your car will never start. No matter what, even if you like, call 20 electricians until you replace your BSI unit. Same thing goes. You will be doing there are some repairs you might be doing on the vehicle. And I don't know, as far as electrical work, you'll be doing all this touch, test and touch. You take your one battery, one wire, you connect it to positive, you are touching it to trying to do continuity tests with the engine running, or trying to do, I can go on, and the technicians or even users know what I'm talking about. The engine is running, you want to know whether the fuel injector is blinking light, the ignition is on, or the engine is running. You disconnect it, you go and plug test light on it, or connect wire to the connector to the injector to know that it's a blink light. Or it's enough to damage your engine ECU, and it will give you the same immobilizer sign. Be very, very careful with Peugeot vehicles produced from 1999 till date. Doesn't matter whether it's 206, doesn't matter, no matter how rugged the vehicle is, once it comes to that immobilizer thing, it doesn't waste time. It will strand you. You will spend heavily before that vehicle will start. If you are lucky, it might be one of the cheapest component that works with immobilizer times 40. It could be your key. It could be the COM2000. It could be any of these things I just mentioned. So, if you are not sure, if you are a DIY type and you are not sure, have somebody that knows what he's doing to do it. Even if the pay you give somebody and the way he's handling that thing shows that he handles it in a very good manner, he doesn't care, stop him on time. Find somebody else that can do it, or if you know you can do it yourself. Like I said, I've mentioned what you need to do first. avoid leaving your key on the ignition unnecessarily, even when, no matter how minor the electrical work is, unless you are very sure you are, that the engine needs to run for you to test that thing. And even when you are doing that testing, it shouldn't be something you do in a very crude way. There are diagnostic tools that you don't need to be doing all this crude way of troubleshooting, that can safely run your diagnosis without damaging any of these things. Immobiliser issue is not something I will want or wish anybody to experience. Because the car will stay there. You see, worst case you tow it. That's the only way to move the vehicle. So I wanted to do this because I know it doesn't matter how many times I do a video on this. Hold on. So it doesn't matter how many times I do video explaining, write articles.
Now working at Shawlu, not Shawlu with one of these
yeah, I had to shut the video down so I can have some private conversation. So I hope you guys have learned what I'm saying or taken a lesson from this. So be very careful with these modern Peugeot cars. I mean, I've never experienced any of them, this Immobiliser issue in any of my cars. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm saying, of course, there are electronic components, modules. They can fail naturally on their own, even without you abusing them. BSI can fail. Fuse box can fail, that's the BSM. Now, these components I mentioned are mostly the should be on the first, the list of your priority list should be on the first. Those things you check. Usually 90% of the time, the causes of these Immobiliser faults. So, however, your fuse box can do that. For example, not just the fuse box, depending on the model of your vehicle, like the ones produced 99 to 2002 or 2001, to say around that. I think it stopped around that 2000. Let's just say 2002, but it should be late 2001. They have this injection relay. So the injection relay, which injection relay, when it's bad or disconnected, will also do the same. You get that Immobiliser fault. Your vehicle will not start, right? So it's not like it's only the distance that depends. Like I said, it all depends on which model of Peugeot. But these other items I earlier mentioned is irrespective of what model, as long as it has that DSI unit. However, there are some that have the injection relay, so you include the injection relay as one of the components that can cause that Immobiliser fault, and your vehicle will not start. But it's, compared to others, the injection relay is very minor. Hardly fail. The one in my 406 has been there from brand new since 2000. That's the one the car was produced with. It has never failed. It has never given me any reason to even to disconnect it. Never had any issue with it. How old the vehicle is. It's when you start messing with your wires and everything that then this component will start acting up. Before you know it, they will crash. Now, also depending on some models like 406, they are known for water lock. I'm trying to remember this word. Okay, just leave it at water lock under the pedals or the driver's foot mat. Not all. It can happen to anyone. water sometimes comes in from, I don't even know, most times from the windscreen, the edges of the windscreen or whatever, and settle on the BSI unit. And once that happens, it will kill the BSI unit, of course. It may not kill it completely, but it will damage it to the point that it will give the immobilizer warning. And replacing it might be the only solution to it. Sometimes when you try it off, it will work for a while and then eventually pack up for good. Then same for sometimes water will say when it settles under the footmat, driver's side, there are wiring connectors there that once that water settles there over time, it will give you that immobilizer one. But in that case, it won't damage anything. All you need to do is remove the lug, clean out the water, dry the connectors. If the connector has a problem that's affected it, if the pins inside them are rusted, change the connector. What I usually do in my case, I'll just bypass the connector, just run it directly. No need to, because it's not like you intend to change the entire wiring of the vehicle. So if not, why do you still need the connector? So you just run it direct. That will solve the problem for good. But you need to stop whenever the water is coming into the vehicle from, so that it doesn't create more problems. So that is 406 can experience that. The other Peugeot cars that might have such issue, but I know it's more pronounced on 406. But like I said, I've never experienced it on mine. Most people have never experienced it on that, but it's a non-issue for 406. So these are the things you need to, but see, I'm not talking about the ones that you didn't cause, that just by default is there. I'm talking about the ones that you created, you caused, or other people you trust your vehicle with cost for you. So those are things you need to be very careful of. I don't even want to talk about 407, because 407 own is when you talk about sensitivity, electricals, wow. So that one, most times I don't even need to preach, because you will learn it the hard way. Once you start messing with it, you will learn the hard way. 406 doesn't forgive. As you are doing it immediately, it's dealing with you. 406 can maybe 206, same thing. 307, can behave same way, but 407, wow. Z9, before you even go upward, 508, 308, and the rest. Okay, so I think that will be all for the video. So let's hope people have learned from it. But eventually, you see people after watching this video, they will still do the same thing, still keep doing the same mistake. For example, I've talked about people that when they want to draw some fuel from the fuel tank, that's what they do. They'll switch on ignition, because the way the system was programmed to behave, it will pump fuel when ignition is on without engine running. It will pump fuel for some seconds, maybe 2-3 seconds or so. Then switches it off, the fuel pump off. Now instead of you to switch on the ignition, switch it back on, the lazy ones, mechanics, they do this a lot, and I've started seeing vehicle users doing the same thing. They'll leave the ignition, leave the key on ignition, leave the ignition on, and now go to the battery terminal, remove one of the battery terminal, plug it back, remove it. Once the fuel cuts off, they will remove the battery terminal, put it back, then it will pump. Doing this as if it's serving the same purpose of switching on ignition and switching it back and the rest. So, which is very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. So people do all kinds of crazy shit, and the best I can do is to point it out. It's up to you, whatever you do. I always tell people, I'm a living testimony of this complex electrical Peugeot vehicles. Yet, no issue. Electrically, no issue. No headache. Yeah, people are having their own every now and then. I don't spend fortune on my electricals. I don't. I hardly even have all these electrical issues. Doesn't mean bulb will not fail, one component will not fail, this and that, but usually the ones that scan to will even tell me. If at all, how many times do I even scan my card? I mean, honestly, when you don't, I don't know. Let me just leave it like that, because sometimes it feels like I'm exaggerating. Maybe, believe whatever you want to believe. These are old cars. It's not like my cars are even newer than yours. Yet. Anyway, so hope this lesson has been passed. If you've not catched the lesson, good for you.